Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and we follow up on yesterday's very busy day on Capitol Hill with another busy day. And we're still sort of sorting out the fallout from that ridiculous day in federal court in Delaware, where we learned so much about the investigation into Hunter Biden. Let's bring in South Carolina Congressman Ralph Northam to sort this out. Congressman, thanks as always for joining us, sir.
My pleasure, Larry. Glad to be with you.
So a couple of things we learned yesterday. First of all, based on your understanding of what happened yesterday with this plea deal falling apart, did it look to you like the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware and the Justice Department was basically trying to give blanket immunity to Hunter Biden for anything else that they may be investigating?
Well, it appeared that way, Larry, but the fact that the judge struck down the sweetheart deal that everybody recognizes was only there because of Hunter Biden and his dad and influence peddling. And the fact that they struck it down and, he's under investigation now for bribery. And this is a national security issue now. The facts are now coming out more and more from the FBI informants. And I would add that they are credible FBI informants with a career.
Yeah.
And so it's a good day for justice, and the American people want consequences. And Hunter Biden definitely, with the previous deals, he was getting a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting served.
Well, let's talk about those consequences, because you're right. It's a national security issue. It was revealed that there is an investigation into FARA. That's the Foreign Agents Registration Act. They're saying, this is, by the way, how they got Paul Manafort. They're saying that it appears that Hunter Biden was an agent of a foreign country. He didn't register, as is the law. And if he was an agent of a foreign country, it means he was trying to gain influence for that country with the United States government. And Congressman, there's only one man that Hunter Biden would ever be hired for to give influence, and that's his dad, Joe Biden. So that brings this story right to the Oval Office, doesn't it, sir?
Well, it does, because even in an interview 2 or 3 years ago, Hunter Biden admitted he had no qualifications to be on any board, much less the one in the Burisma board in Ukraine. And secondly, he admits this: without his father, he wouldn't ever have even been considered. He has no qualifications. And I will tell you, Larry, this is very serious things that should have been brought to light over the past domination by the Democrats the last 7 years, but it didn't happen. Now it's coming out, and it's an avalanche. The dominoes are falling in on the Biden.
One last question. The one last question on this, sir. Speaker McCarthy earlier this week said that it is appropriate now to move in the direction of an impeachment inquiry. You sit on the very important and powerful yet misunderstood Rules Committee. Has there been discussion yet amongst the majority members of the Rules Committee about what that inquiry might look like?
No, because what's happening now is things are being uncovered that we didn't know. I think what we want to do is find out all the information, make sure it's ironclad, and then the Rules Committee will take it up, and then we'll have the discussions about what we do next. But this is long overdue, Larry. This should have been, again, done long ago, and American people deserve this. And these are facts. This isn't hearsay. These are facts that are pretty damning to the president and his administration.
Congressman Norman, we've had some very good conversations in the past about your passionate interest in keeping our border secure for various reasons. So I'd love for you to see this moment yesterday where the Secretary of Homeland Security, the man who's in charge of securing the border, was questioned in the Judiciary Committee. Here, take a look at this moment.
Recognize the ranking member, Mr. Nadler.
Mr. Secretary, I want to address some of the outlandish claims my colleagues have made and put them to rest at the outset of this hearing. My Republican colleagues claim that the border is open. Is the border open, Mr. Secretary?
No, it is not.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The border is not open, and to say so is not only false, but is really an insult to the brave men and women of the Border Patrol who work every day to keep us safe.
Well, there you go, Congressman Norman. I mean, are you satisfied now? There's Jerry Nadler and Mayorkas saying the border's not open, so case closed.
You know, Mayorkas, Nadler, they're both frauds, to be honest with you. For Mayorkas to continue to deny, and he needs to get his facts straight. He says the border's under control, yet at a Senate committee hearing, he admitted that it wasn't. The facts don't lie. They can say it all they want. But what's so unfair is the deaths of our young people by fentanyl. What's so unfair is to have known criminals entering this country unfettered. What's so unfair is the fact that those who entered America legally are now being pretty much dismissed, and you can come one, come all. This administration is putting this country at risk, and it's going to be hard to walk it back when the next administration takes over, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, I would love to explore that idea in terms of hard to walk it back. Obviously, it's not hard to actually implement border security policies on the border, finish building the wall, and actually tell the Border Patrol to do their job. That's easy, actually. It just takes the will of a chief executive. Are you talking instead about the upwards to 2 million who have entered the country illegally in the last 3 years?
Well, that's just it. I would argue that they don't know. From what the reports we're hearing, it's up to 5 to 7 million. They don't know. They're destroying Texas, and they ultimately will destroy this country. They're getting driver's license. This is all about a power move, and the only way you control it is to finish the wall that President Trump started. The steel is paid for. The subcontractors are getting paid not to work to put it up, and it's devastating on these cities. Now, the only way you can stop this is, one, build the wall, and two, start deporting those who are in it in this country if you can find them. But the other thing, Larry, this is deliberate. This is a deliberate action by this administration to do whatever it takes to maintain power.
One thing that Secretary Mayorkas did concede yesterday, shockingly, was that sanctuary city and sanctuary state policies actually do undermine his department's efforts when trying to handle criminal aliens who are in this country. Is this something that we could actually do something with? Is there federal legislation that could affect those sanctuary jurisdictions around this country?
Well, what legislation that we've done over the past, since this administration started this, over the past 2 to 2.5 years, is to rule out sanctuary cities. Now, Mayorkas has made no attempt, one, to have a orderly way to get them in, and secondly, he hasn't gone after the criminals because he doesn't know who the criminals are. All he knows is let them in America, let them go wherever they go, wherever the buses of the federal government takes them, and then let the individual states deal with it, which is absurd.
Congressman Norman, you always tell it like it is, so I'd beg an indulgence here for you to comment on that terrifying scene we saw yesterday with Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's a good man, a good Republican who has served for so many years for the party and for the nation. It was hard to see him in that state, and I wonder if you think at this point the conversation needs to be had as to whether he's the appropriate person to lead the Republicans in the Senate.
I talked to senators last night. This has been coming for a good while. You know, he is pretty much decrepit. What you see now, I think a lot of the meetings that has not been able to attend prior to what we saw yesterday, but he's got a powerful position, and the fact that you know, he can't administer it is similar, although in a smaller way, which the President of the United States is facing. He can't administer his duties. But Mitch McConnell, in his 80s, he's apparently has health issues. And it's a sad day. I feel for him, for his family, and for the issues he's facing. But the Senate's going to have to deal with this to see what their next step is.
Yeah, but at some point, though, you got to live your life. There's something bigger than just serving in the Senate. And I hope that Senator McConnell's family actually conveys that as well. Congressman Norman. I almost called you Senator Norman. Yeah, you never know. Thanks for joining us. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.